Imagine this scene in as much detail as possible, because I'm absolutely certain that almost everyone watching this video right now has felt that adrenaline rush at some point in their career. You finally did it. After 2 years of hard work, sleepless nights, deadlines delivered under pressure, and that constant feeling that you were being undervalued by the company, the scenario has changed. You walked into your boss's office or received that official email, and the numbers finally jumped onto the paper. Your annual salary went from $65,000 to $82,000. On paper, that represents a jump of $17,000 a year, or exactly $1,384 more falling into your account every month. Your heart skips a beat, your hands sweat, and a feeling of immediate relief washes over your body. It's the validation you've been waiting for. And then, almost instinctively, without you having to consciously exert yourself, your brain starts doing what I call dopamine math. You do the mental calculations in seconds while walking back to your desk or closing your email tab. You think that this extra money is exactly what you needed to finally replace that car that's starting to give you trouble. Or maybe it's the green light to sign the contract for that more modern apartment with a gourmet balcony and city view that your partner has been mentioning for months. You start mentally redesigning your entire existence based on this new number. You think about designer furniture, a gym membership that offers clean towels and a sauna, dinners at award-winning restaurants on Friday nights instead of staying in the kitchen washing dishes. You feel that, finally, life is starting to look like the one you see on social media. The most dangerous point here is that you feel completely justified. You look back and see the effort, the overtime, and the sacrifice, concluding that you deserve this life upgrade. And the truth is, nobody around you will tell you otherwise. On the contrary, your family will celebrate with you, your friends will say you should treat yourself, and the entire infrastructure of our consumer economy has been designed brick by brick to constantly whisper in your ear that now that the number on paper has gone up, you can finally afford all these things. But this is where I need to be the bearer of bad news, the voice that brings the bucket of cold water. The stark truth is that you can't afford it. Not really. And the reason isn't that you're a financially irresponsible person or that you don't know how to save. It's that you're operating under a flawed mathematical logic that's taught by osmosis in our society. And that logic is a direct path to stagnation. You are making a systematic miscalculation that over a 30 or 40-year career will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost wealth. The scariest part is that you won't feel the weight of this mistake today or tomorrow. You'll only realize the size of the hole when you reach 50 or 60 and notice that, despite having earned a lot of money during your life, you still desperately depend on the next paycheck to keep the lights on. There is a huge gap, a veritable ocean, between what your gross salary says you can afford and what your financial reality actually allows. Understanding this gap is what defines whether you will be someone who achieves financial freedom and the option to retire early, or someone who will have to work until 70 simply because the cost of your lifestyle doesn't allow you to stop. Most conventional financial educators will introduce you to the famous 50-30-20 rule. You've certainly heard of it. 50% of your income for basic needs, 30% for personal wants, and 20% for savings and debt repayment. On paper, this seems extremely balanced and safe, almost like a scientifically tested formula. The problem is that this rule was created to be palatable to the masses, to be something that doesn't scare people and keeps them within an acceptable comfort zone. It was designed to be fair, but in the world of finance, what is fair is not always what is smart. What is fair keeps people average, while what is strategically smart is what truly builds wealth and generational security. Being fair to your immediate desires is often being cruel to your financial future. Over the years, I've analyzed the finances of people who earn very high salaries in the six-figure range, but who have negative net worth. It's an almost bizarre phenomenon. The more they earn, the more they owe. This happens because most people have no idea what they can actually afford. They just go with the flow, observe what their coworkers are buying, and adjust their spending to the maximum limit allowed by the bank or credit card. They build their lives on a foundation of assumptions and guesswork. I call the correct method the lifestyle threshold equation. It's a filtering process that separates your gross effort from your actual output. Your salary is not your purchasing power, it's just the raw material. To arrive at what you can actually spend without destroying your future, you need to apply a series of reducing filters that most people prefer to ignore because the results are often discouraging in the short term. The first major filter is the overwhelming reality of taxes and mandatory deductions. When you see a $17,000 raise, your brain ignores the fact that a considerable portion of that amount will never reach your bank account. Depending on your salary bracket and location, between 25 and 40% of your gross income is withheld at source through federal and state income taxes, Social Security contributions, and municipal fees. That $1,380 raise per month, in practice, becomes something close to $800 or $900 net. But the filter doesn't stop there. You need to consider the benefits that come off your paycheck, such as health insurance, life insurance, and contributions to company retirement plans. When you do this initial cleaning, the amount that remains is your real net income. And it is with this number, and only with this number, that the game begins. After the government and insurance companies take their cut, you face the second major filter, non-negotiable obligations. And this is where most people make the mistake of underestimating costs. When we think about housing, we think about rent or mortgage payments. But the real math of housing includes property tax, mandatory insurance, condo fees, and crucially, a reserve for maintenance and repairs that you should consider a fixed monthly expense, even if you don't spend it every month. If you live in a $30,000 house, you should expect to spend at least $3,000 a year just to keep the structure running. The same goes for transportation. A car doesn't just cost the monthly payment. It costs constant depreciation, insurance that increases every year, fuel, oil changes, and tires. If you ignore these invisible costs, you're lying to yourself about how much your life really costs. Let's apply these filters to a practical example so you can see the magic, or rather, the tragedy, unfold. Imagine a professional who earns $70,000 annually. After all taxes and benefit deductions, the amount that actually lands in their account is approximately $47,600. If we divide this by the basic cost of living, modest housing, balanced meals, functional transportation, electricity, water, internet bills, and healthcare costs, we arrive at a total of mandatory obligations of almost $40,000. This means that, for a person earning $70,000 gross, the real discretionary disposable income is only $8,500 per year, or about $712 per month. This is the only free money that exists. It is with these $700 that this person must pay for leisure, travel, dining out, new clothes, and any lifestyle upgrade. Now consider what happens when this professional receives a raise to $82,000. Their monthly discretionary income jumps to approximately $1,170. It seems like a huge leap, a 60% increase in leisure spending power. However, if this person falls into the common trap of trading in their car and taking on a $400 payment, they have practically negated all the real gain from their raise. They still have the same $700 left over, but now they have a more expensive car in the garage and the same financial anxiety as before. They are running faster on the treadmill, but haven't gone anywhere. They traded their time and effort for an object that depreciates every minute while missing the opportunity to use that capital to buy their future freedom through investments that yield compound interest. The difference between person A and person B over a 10-year period is the difference between chaos and tranquility. Person A, driven by the desire for immediate reward and social pressure, raises their cost of living with each increase. They live in better places, drive newer cars, and frequent more expensive places. 10 years later, Their net worth is almost zero, or even negative if we consider loans. They are stuck in their job because they cannot afford to go a month without a salary. Person B, on the other hand, decides to keep their cost of living stable even with increases. They direct surplus capital to index funds, real estate, or other income-generating assets. 10 years later, person B possesses a financial reserve that gives them what I consider the most valuable asset in the world: optionality. They can choose to work less, change careers, invest in their own business, or simply sleep peacefully knowing that a medical emergency will not destroy their family. The psychology behind this trap is powerful and rooted in our evolution. We are social beings and tend to assess our well-being by comparing ourselves to our immediate circle. If all your co-workers drive luxury cars and live in gated communities, your brain interprets this as the standard of survival and success. Not having these things generates a feeling of relative deprivation, a psychological discomfort that compels us to spend in order to feel integrated. Added to this is the ease of modern credit, which allows us to enjoy money today that we haven't yet earned. Credit is a tool that allows us to borrow from our future selves. The problem is that your future self will have to work much harder to pay for this luxury today, with the added interest that benefits the bank, not you. Another devastating psychological factor is what we call hedonic adaptation. We get used to good things very quickly. That new apartment that seemed like a dream in the first 3 months becomes your new normal in the 4th month. The satisfaction disappears, but the rent or mortgage bill remains there, strong and steady for the next 30 years. To regain that feeling of euphoria, you feel you need a new upgrade, a new purchase, and so the cycle repeats until you are earning a lot of money but feeling as poor and suffocated as at the beginning of your career. It's a rat race where the prize is just a more gilded cage. You trade your vital energy, your youthful years, and your mental health for status symbols that don't bring lasting happiness. The consequences of this behavior are far more profound than simply not having money in the bank. There is a direct impact on physical and mental health. Constantly living on the edge of your budget without any room for maneuver for unforeseen events keeps the body in a state of chronic stress. Elevated cortisol impairs the immune system, increases blood pressure, and affects sleep quality. Millions of people suffer from anxiety and depression, not because of inherent chemical problems, but because of the suffocating pressure of debt and a lifestyle they can barely sustain. Furthermore, the lack of a financial reserve deprives you of bargaining power. You accept abuse at work, swallow insults, and submit to humiliating conditions because the fear of losing your job and not being able to pay the truck loan is greater than your self-esteem. The real solution to this problem begins with a radical shift in mindset about what it means to be rich. Being rich isn't about spending a lot of money. Spending a lot of money is simply the definition of having a high cost of living. Being rich is about owning assets that work for you while you sleep. To get there, you need to follow 4 practical and rigorous steps. The first is honest diagnosis. You should open a spreadsheet today and calculate your real discretionary income number, subtracting every penny for taxes and every mandatory obligation. Don't hide expenses from yourself. If you spend $100 a month on streaming subscriptions, that's a lifestyle choice that should come out of your disposable income. The second step is setting limits. Once you know your disposable income, you must consciously decide how much of it will be invested before it is spent. The third step is the rule of increase. Every time you receive a bonus, a promotion, or a salary increase, you should commit to investing at least 60 or 70% of that new amount. Leave the rest for a small treat so that the process isn't painful, but ensures that most of your professional success is converted into assets, not expenses. The fourth and most important step is building your optionality fund, commonly called an emergency reserve. You shouldn't afford to increase your standard of living until you have at least 6 to 12 months of all your mandatory obligations saved in a safe and liquid place. This fund isn't just for emergencies, it's your freedom money. The amount that allows you to make decisions based on what's best for your life, not what your bank manager demands. I want you to leave this video with a new pair of glasses to see the financial world. Stop looking at your gross salary as if it were an unlimited credit card. Start seeing it as a scarce resource that needs to be managed with the precision of an engineer. The global economy is set up to extract every penny of your productivity and return it in the form of disposable products and ephemeral experiences. If you want to escape financial mediocrity, you need to master your own mathematics. Don't compare yourself to your neighbor. Don't compare yourself to the Instagram influencer. Compare yourself to your past self and ask yourself if you are closer to freedom or closer to dependence. Wealth isn't about what people see in you. It's about what you know you have and the peace of mind that brings. It's about being able to look to the future, not with fear of how the bills will be paid, but with the excitement of someone who holds the reins of their own destiny. The path to this freedom is paved with difficult decisions, with saying no to instant gratification, and with a deep understanding of the arithmetic of real life. If you're ready to stop guessing and start building something solid, start today. Calculate your number, set your goals, and protect your future with the same determination you used to work to get that raise. If this content opened your eyes and gave you a new perspective on how to manage your career and earnings, be sure to support the channel. Click the like button, subscribe so you don't miss the next in-depth financial analyses, and most importantly, share this video with that friend or coworker who just got promoted and is already talking about buying a new car. Let's create a community of people who seek real wealth, not just the appearance of it. Leave a comment below about your biggest challenge in maintaining a stable cost of living when your income increases. I read every comment and they help me prepare future topics for you. Thank you so much for watching this far. Stay focused on your freedom, and I'll see you in the next video.